Hey y'all, welcome back. So yeah, I'm about to review Love and Marriage Huntsville, but this episode pissed me off so bad. I had to sit down for a minute and make sure I still had a vocabulary because all I did was curse at the screen. I'm going to do my best to use real words and to really give real thought about what happened, but I really want to just curse a few folk out. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're a fan of Mel, you might want to go and go somewhere else because this ain't gonna be it. Today is not her day. It's just not her day. I'm gonna let y'all know how I feel and I'm gonna carry on about my little business. I didn't even put my ponytail on good because I might snatch that off, okay? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by and checking out my review. Let's just get right on into it. So the episode kicks off. Kimmy is sitting in the office with Maurice, really just kind of reeling over the experience she had with Tisha and her family. Girl, yeah, running into ratchets will do that to you, okay? So she's just explaining that she tried to have a conversation with Tisha about her one-sided friendship expectations, and it just was kind of beyond reason. They cut over to Tisha talking to Marcel about her side of the conversation, and Tisha has the audacity to say at some point that she has laid out to Kimmy what her expectations of their relationship are, and she just hopes that Kimmy can abide by that. Tisha, go to hell. So Marcel brings up to Tisha that, yeah, your family, while they were on their check tour, came over to check me about some rumors they heard about an outside baby. And Tisha lets it be known that, if there is an outside baby, she's going to divorce Marcel and take him for everything he got. Okay, good. I'm just moving on because Tisha works my nerves. Bye. The next stop is Martell going to pick up his kids. This scene pissed me off so bad. I don't know the last time I screamed so many MFs at a screen. It's not even funny. So Martell shows up to pick up his kids. She comes down in her gown and high heels and her dangling earrings in the middle of the day. It's like, girl, you're doing too much and you're trying too hard, but carry on. Martell looks straight past her. Are the kids ready? I'm here to get the kids. And she's, standing there like, don't you see me? And, well, I think we should talk first. So this heifer decides to go outside and pick a fight with the man about co-parenting and when he doesn't get the kids and X, Y, and Z. And Mel, you are trying to present this image of this woman who is moving on and is about her business and is so unbothered when you really need the same things you say about Martell are true of you. The same help you say Martell needs, you need. Mel needs to go to therapy. And she needs to acknowledge I am hurt and I am bothered, okay? Because for this man to be coming to pick up his kids and you take this opportunity to address how he's living his single life and, when you don't get the kids and then I get pictures sent to me of you and you out partying and this, that, and third, that's not your business. Take care of your kids. Let me tell you something. I was raised by a single mother who was married, never had a child out of wedlock, ever, and still became a single mother. When my father didn't pay child support, when my father was not in my life, my mother never spoke ill of him. When he decided he wanted to step up and try, she was all behind it. That's your daddy. Y'all gonna have a relationship and they ain't got nothing to do with me. I never heard a negative word about my father. That's the difference in a real woman and a hurt little girl. I am so sorry. You ain't gotta like it. And I'm not saying Mel don't have a reason to be hurt. But when you start playing with your kids, I lose all respect for you. And I didn't have a whole lot to lose. But I lose all respect when you start interfering with the relationship between your children and their father. And if for anybody who wants to defend Mel and say that's not what was happening, her mama came and doubled down on it. When her mama came down there and decided she wanted to pick a fight with Martell, and then when he says he literally will not engage with you, when y'all literally cannot get the reaction you want, and he says, well, no, I don't think we need to talk. You can save it. Who you talking to? That's a grown man who is no longer married to your daughter. The issue is, though, I don't expect you to understand that, because did you have a husband when you had your child? Because Mel was sitting on TV crying about how, her dad was in and out of her life because he had a whole nother family. And the sister had to come sit on TV and say how devastated their family was when they found out about Mel. And y'all don't want us to believe that she's a side baby. And you sitting up there on your self-righteous rock talking trash to this man. Mel and her mama can go to hell. Now those kids come running down the stairs, excited to see their daddy. And this lady literally tried to step in front of each child and intercept the child that's running to their daddy. To the point that you call these kids Neon Dion, because they had to sidestep her to run to their daddy. And then she wanted to play with the second child like she just wanted to fix her clothes. Lady, you the type. Y'all, this why I ain't put my hair on. Because I was so mad I'd have snatched it off. I done called them all kinds of B's and MFs and everything else. Because this is a dressed up mess. I don't care how pretty you are. And I don't care how well spoken you are. And I don't care how many businesses you have. When your behavior is trashy, when you are willing to sacrifice your children for the sake of winning, you don't have a leg to stand on with me. And I don't side with people just because you're a woman, or just because you're a black woman, or just because a person has done you wrong. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So I'm not about to back you up and your vindictive behaviors, especially vindictive behaviors that involve compromising your children and their relationship with their father. Because yes, he did you wrong, but he has every right to be a father to those children. They have every right to have an untainted relationship with their father. Every right. Mel lives by double standards. You think it's okay for you to go on tours of interviews talking about him, but he can't go on tours of interviews talking about you. You can talk about how he failed in the marriage, but he can't talk about how you failed in the marriage. You can talk about his fifth child, but he can't talk about his fifth child. Mel, please go to hell. I'm a woman. I see through the games. It don't fly with me. And see, here's the difference between me and a whole lot of people who uphold her in her foolishness. I'm not a woman who done gone and married some man and expects that he's just gonna put up with me and my shit no matter what. This kind of stuff is why I ain't keen on getting married, okay? Because people, and it's not even just a woman thing, it's a people thing. People like to get into a relationship, especially get married, and decide they have some level of ownership of a person. And they no longer have to maintain the relationship. They don't have to serve the needs of the relationship. I've been in the situation that Martell is talking about. I've been there. So I know what he means. And what is going on here is Mel's ego is so damaged by him saying he was not satisfied by her, that she is going out of her way to pull him down and make him look bad. He already looked bad, boo. He already went out and cheated on you. He already went out and had a side baby. That already looks bad. But the same way that he went out and did his dirt and he laughed then and he's paying for it now, the same thing is going to happen to you. The way you play with those children, you will laugh now and cry later, because children don't forget. This man came to pick up his children. Nothing more or less should have happened. Nothing more or less. And before anybody come for me and tell me, well, you don't have no kids, you don't understand. You ain't never been married, you don't understand. That's why I ain't never been married. Because I don't play these games. Okay? I was raised by a single mother. A single mother who did not get the support that she needed. Okay? A single mother who never had a child out of wedlock, but still ended up a single mother. And refused to raise her children on bitterness. That's why I know better. That's why I know what I'm looking at. That's why I know Mel and her mama are trifling. Okay? Mel is extremely passive aggressive. She throws the rock and hides her hand. And her ultimate goal is to turn the children against him. Because in her mind, he's won. Even though he's paying in his own way for the things that he's done, he got what he wanted. He got the other woman. The other woman got a baby. The other woman ain't going nowhere. He said he don't want her, and he's standing on he don't want her. In her mind, he won. And her ego cannot take it. Her ego cannot take the blow of, but I'm beautiful. And I'm, when you are as vain as someone like Mel, your ego cannot withstand the idea that somebody doesn't want you. I know how bad it hurts. I also know what it is to be a woman and conduct yourself like one. I have no respect for Mel for the way that she picked a fight with this man and literally wanted him to come out of his bag. And you're doing that because you know he's getting ready to pick up his kids. And you want him to embarrass himself in front of his kids. More now than ever do I believe that Mel was a side baby. More now than ever do I believe that Mel was made with a married man. More now than ever. Because a real mother, a real woman would have taught her to conduct herself better. A real woman would have pulled her to the side and said, no, baby, this ain't what you do. Don't worry about him. Let him do anything he want to do. Let me tell you how you carry you. Let me tell you how you continue to be a mother to your children no matter what. Let me tell you that children grow up and they know, they understand, they see. That's what a real mother would have done. I blame Mel and I blame her mother. It's trifling at a level that is damaging. It's detrimental to your children. I'm moving on because I could go on about this all day. All day. Because Mel ain't the only, I see it all the time. I see it all the time and it drives me up a wall. Your children are not your pawns. I'm sorry, I know that was a ramble of a rant. But these people piss me off. Moving on. Kimmy Maurice and Maurice's son, Monster. They talk about him, what are his summer plans, if he's just going to play basketball, what he's going to do. And he says, I guess I'll work. I'll start cutting some lawns. And their response is, well, you ain't cut the lawn out there, and how you plan on doing all? And that baby said to them, I asked my mom to buy me a riding lawnmower. And their response was, he wants to make as much money as he can without doing as much labor. And my response is, what the hell is wrong with that? Isn't that the goal? to work smart and not hard. And so if the child is able to come about a riding lawnmower and not have to be in the sun pushing a lawnmower and breaking his back and breaking a sweat and about to have a heat stroke, I call him smart. They call his mom, Kiowa, to let her know that Monster has decided what high school he wants to go to. And Kimmy decides to kind of lean over into the conversation because, as she says, anytime that Maurice calls his ex-wife to talk, anytime that Maurice and Monster call Kiowa, they pretend that Kimmy is not sitting there. So Kimmy kind of feels excluded, and I think there's a lack of trust there, honestly. I think that, she feels like there's some separation of relationships. That's what I think it boils down to. But moving on. So next is Melody at her office meeting with a business friend named Tiffany. I'm going to tell you right now, Tiffany give me messy vibes too. Mel is congratulating her on her recent wedding. They start to talk about what it's like to be divorced. And Tiffany makes a comment and says, when I was thinking about you, I was thinking about when I first got divorced and how difficult it was, and the fact that I always had to be right and it was always going to be my way. Now, I did still win in the end, but, it was difficult. That went straight over Mel's head. She was trying to address this sanctimonious disposition that Mel has, that she is somehow holier than thou. She is better. She's not wrong. She's not done anything. Like, she has no accountability. She's always right. But it went over her head. Maybe the wig was blocking it. I don't know. But all Mel picks up is, it's nice to talk to somebody who has been through the same thing or knows what it's like, because misery loves company. She doesn't want to learn anything. She just doesn't want to be alone in going through this. I just want to know that I'm not the only one who's been through this, but I'm not trying to learn nothing from you. Mel, she works my nerves. She works. And it drives me. And she thinks she's smarter than everybody. Like, if you shut up sometimes, if you stop talking so much, stop pretending to know everything, stop pretending to be so unbothered and moved on, you could actually heal, become unbothered, and move on. And rather than say, what can I take accountability for so that I can grow into the best version of me? Because that's what accountability is for. Accountability is for you. I don't care who told you otherwise. When you learn to take accountability for things, you grow in ways that you could not even fathom. Because now that I can acknowledge where I faltered or failed, I can improve that part of me. It's really that simple. But it goes over her head because she doesn't want to take accountability. She just wants company and knowing that she's not the only one that's been through this. That's my take on it. So then Mel mentions that they should all hang out, that she should meet Destiny, and that she thinks this will be awesome. We know from previews that ship is gonna wreck. But moving on. So we get to Chris's house and Martell and Chris sit down to talk. Chris is studying for his builder's license. And Martell admits that he actually failed that exam about 7 years ago. So between he and Mel held the builder's license. And Chris starts to explain to Martell that the developer of the land is interested in seeing if Mel wants to build on that land. Martell, of course, is extremely offended by it. And he feels like it's Chris kind of betraying him, and Chris is saying it's just business. I kind of have a speculation about what has gone on. Basically, when Martell couldn't pass the exam, Mel went and got the builder's license. Mel could pass the exam. Mel went and got the builder's license. Well, they were married and running the business together. So, in my opinion, I believe that Martell had been okay with just Mel having a builder's license for years. She carried all the credentials, and he was the background in terms of operating the business. Well, now that they're no longer together, he doesn't have access to using her builder's license. Well, the thing about being a contractor is you have to be licensed, bonded, and insured. Okay? If you are not licensed, you can't be bonded and insured. If you're not bonded and insured, you can't pull permits and build things because you don't have the bonding and insurance to protect whatever work you're doing or the structure that you're working on. So if you mess something up, whoever your bonding and insurance is through is going to take care of that. What has now happened is the developer wants to move forward using the Holt name. Well, it's Mel that has all the paperwork. It's Mel that has all of the credentials. So they're going to want to work with Mel. And this speaks to the greater issue of deferring to your spouse when you're married. In my opinion, I don't ever recommend that anybody let themselves go in any kind of fashion just because they're married. You don't forego getting your own credentials because your wife has credentials or your husband or whoever. You have to be working on you at all times. You have to build you at all times. Not just because this marriage may fall apart someday, but because you want to always be bringing the best version of you to this marriage. And so as the marriage or whatever kind of relationship you have, as that relationship continues to grow, you are growing with it. And you are not becoming stagnant or being a stagnation to this relationship. You're not a stumbling block for the growth of this relationship. So you should always be working on you. You should always be your priority, because the better you are, the happier you are, the more secure you are, the better, happier, and more secure you can be in your relationship. Now, what Martell doesn't understand is what Chris is saying. It's just business. You know, I get how Martell feels, but Chris is right. You're mixing the personal and the business. Now, yes, you still have access to companies who you can pull permits under, but that's called subcontracting. And the developer doesn't want to work with you as a subcontractor, meaning that there's a middleman between y'all. Either you're a builder or you're not. If the subcontractors will come under the builder, and whoever you're subcontracting under, I may not want to use as my builder. So this is a perfect example of why you keep all your own ducks in a row. We're moving on to Mel and Martell meeting at this co-parent counselor's office. So they get in and sit down to meet with the counselor. And Martell says he thinks his kids are fine and he doesn't want to necessarily bring them into counseling and create an issue that's not already there. Mel says that she believes Martell has the mentality that most people who grew up in the black community have. Even the counselor rolled her eyes and said, well, what's that? Because do you know most of the black community? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? So she says, well, they don't believe we need to go to therapy until it's too late. You mean like you and your marriage? So she goes on to say, you know, their oldest daughter has become very reserved, almost and a little withdrawn, and that the 5-year-old is writing songs about why did you have to break my heart. And she thinks that is just so off-putting, and that is such a cause for concern, especially when a 5-year-old is doing it. Well, here's the thing. When you have your 5-year-old running around singing the lyrics to a song that you wrote about their father, it's not shocking. We know exactly where it came from. Like, stop throwing the rock and hiding your hand. Like, you're this perfect individual. You're not an angel. You're just not. You had those kids on, and put them on social media singing a song that you wrote about their father, and you're shocked that the 5-year-old is deciding to write a song about why'd you break my heart? Girl, bye. She also mentions that their son has some resentment toward his father because he's seen his father hurt his mother. He's seen his mother cry, and and that's very real. That that makes a lot of sense. Martell looks, I don't know if he doesn't look surprised as much as he looks hurt. He looks hurt, and that's a hurting feeling when you know that you are the catalyst behind why this is going on with your children, and that even though you may know that one way or another this marriage was going to come to an end, that the way that you went about doing things, the way that you went about conducting yourself has caused so much pain that you did not anticipate, that it's hurtful. And I think he knows how he felt about his father, and I think the idea that his son does or will feel the same way about him, it has to be scary and hurtful, and he has to deal with that. He has to reconcile with that. He has to because that boy will grow into a man, and one day you're gonna have to answer everything. Because we answer for the things we do in this life, even before we get on to the other side. Your children will come back to you and want answers for why you did what they did, for why you did what you did. And so I think in that moment, it really hit Martell that this is what I've done. And even if I don't like her, even if I wasn't happy with her, even if I know the marriage was failing and I know her contributions to the failure and I know that I was going to leave, I shouldn't have done what I did, because now I hurt my kids. And I can't undo that. I can't undo that. And that's why when things just ain't working out, don't step outside. If you've made your grievances known and there is no concern or attempt to improve, or you're just not happy, then go your separate way. Be man enough to go your separate way. So Mel expresses her grievance, which is that he's not necessarily abiding by whatever their schedule is for exchanging the children, and that it'll come the night before he's supposed to get the kids, and he'll say something like, y'all just keep doing what y'all are doing, and yada yada yada. And so Martell starts to explain that where he's coming from is a place that he's used to being able to do so much for his children, and he's not doing as well financially as he had been, and he feels restricted in terms of his ability with his kids, and he feels like he's in a place where he's stuck. Yeah, he brought that on himself. Maybe you got to find another way to entertain your children. Now, if he's saying maybe he don't have a place to stay, or he is in the dark wherever he does have to stay and he don't want them to be in the dark, or some extreme circumstance, I don't know. But you got to find a workaround, because yes, life changes and life goes on, so maybe if you're used to being able to take the kids to dinner or little fun parks or arcades and things like that, and you can't really afford that, then maybe you pick them up and you go to Walmart and you get a board game or two and y'all play some things as, a family, as dad and kids. Or you go outside, y'all can't go to the water park, but maybe I can go to Family Dollar and pick up a little inflatable pool, or I can go get the water hose and, wet you down like we did back in the day. But you got to figure out a way to make it work. Pride aside. And you have to figure out a way to uphold your end of the parenting agreement. So as he's talking about, his difficulties in now being a single parent, he starts to get emotional. And Mel kind of reaches out to rub his arm and try to comfort him. And Martell, get your ass off me. These people so damn crazy. Martell said, God. And Mel's like, well, damn. They are just crazy alike. I'm so sorry. They just crazy alike. And he's just like, why are you doing that? Like, he don't want to be touched. He don't want to be bothered. Let him be, child. Just let him be. So Mel now takes this opportunity to jab back. Mel says, he's seen me when I've been broken down in the closet just crying. And, but you don't get to make excuses. You don't get to just, lay down and quit because you now have 5 children. And so he asked her to, not speak on that. Don't do that. So in the confessional, they are talking about the fact that their children were very exposed to what was going on in their relationship. And, Mel says yes, because they heard all the yelling and screaming and, arguing. And Martell says, exactly, which is why I would ask you to be quiet, bring it down, keep it between us. And her thing was, well, I asked you to stop doing what you were doing. And, while she has every right to be mad, she had every right to dig in his ass. She had every right. Martell makes a point that there is this misconception that it's okay to involve your children in every disagreement. It's okay because this parent is wrong and you feel like you are right. It's okay to expose your children to that. That is adult drama and trauma. And she goes on to say, well, if you had kept your penis in our household, none of that would have happened. Well, that's done at this point. It's done. So are you going to continue to sacrifice the mental and emotional health of your children for the sake of exposing their father? Is that your plan? Because I'm sorry, I don't go for it. Like, it drives me up a wall. I am 36 years old. To this day, my mother still does not speak ill of my father, even when I do. Grow up. Move on. Let go. Now, this is where I want Mel to stop embarrassing herself. She says, if you kept your penis in our household, we wouldn't even be here. And Martell says, yes, we would be. And he literally says that to you every time you bring this up. And what she's trying to do is get her, she said, well, you beg me every other day to take you back. She's literally trying to get him to backpedal on the, you didn't satisfy me, I wasn't happy with you, I wanted to leave you anyway, but I stayed because we had kids. And had we not had kids, this would have been done a long time ago. She wants him to retract that. And every time you try to come at him for that, he doubles down on it. And you are starting your cycle of pain back over because your ego gets kicked in the teeth every time he says it to you. Take him at his word. Move on. Now, him not being satisfied by you doesn't mean you're not a satisfactory woman. It doesn't mean that some other man wouldn't be completely thrilled with whatever your tricks are in the bedroom or outside of the bedroom. But he wasn't. He might be the freak of the week, more so than you know. It does not make you a bad person. It does not take away from your value that you couldn't satisfy. It doesn't mean that you're not satisfactory. So please let it go. Because he is going to beat your ego's ass every time you do that. And then you get offended all over again. It's just like a cycle of insanity. Stop basing your value of yourself on what he thinks of you. Maybe he's measuring on a different value system. Let it go. Please. For the sake of the condition of your soul and your womanhood, let it go. So Mel brings up to the counselor that their kids, their 4 children together, don't know about the 5th child yet. And that she's been asking Martell, when is he going to tell them? And so I really, really, really like what she explained to Mel, which is that, there's a way to be present and supportive that is about your children without interjecting your opinion. She said, while I might have felt one way internally, I said nothing. I said nothing because that was about their child. And what she is talking about requires being a mature adult that cares more about your children and their outcomes than using your children against the other parent. Period. So they leave the counseling session and they're talking as they're walking out. Martell makes a comment about, I talked to Chris and he told me how he came to you about the 47 acres, and I don't want to say you had my back, but you had my back because you told him how you knew I was passionate about it and that he should talk to me first, and that wasn't a good look. And she looks offended. So this becomes the what's good for the goose is good for the gander moment. And they start throwing at each other, who ain't never did what, and you ain't never built nothing, and you ain't never built nothing, and I ain't never. They are exhausting. The both of them. They are absolutely exhausting. Which is why I bring my ass right here to talk about it. Because the way I just curse and carry on screaming at this damn TV, somebody else got to hear this because it's a mess. I'm sick of them. I'm so sick of them. That's the end of the episode. That's it. That's all. I ain't got no more. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you for coming by. I hope I see you next time. Hope I ain't scared you off with my rant. Love you, mean it. Bye.